We're going to talk about some tough things, but they have to be talked about because we have to have discussion as a community before we can move forward with things. So that is the entire purpose of this gathering today. People are terrified, people are misunderstanding each other, and it's causing a greater divide. So the point of this was to try to bridge a gap, to try to let people know different sides of people's lives and stories, their trauma, to build understanding, because once we understand each other, then we have a community.
I came here today because my son just riding his bike in the neighborhood and was stopped and asked if that was his bike and if he lives in the neighborhood. I'm here today because I want, when my son puts on his hoodie, I'm not scared that he'll be stopped. Those are things I worry about when I go to bed, and if they're not home, I can't sleep until they get home. I'm here because we were stopped and told that we were stopped because there was a robber in the neighborhood. I'm here because we're all created by God. No matter what the color is, we're all created by one creator. We are one.
I have a friend who has got a child who just turned 7 years old, and she's a biracial child, but you wouldn't be able to tell it because she's very light-skinned. But she told her mother one day that she didn't want to get tan because she didn't want to turn brown. And we asked her why, and she said because she doesn't want to get hurt. And I just want people to think about that for a minute. That is a 7-year-old that doesn't know why she doesn't want to get brown, but she knows that it's bad if she does, in her mind.
As the youth, we need to speak up, because all these people around you, when you look around, most of them are adults. We need to speak up ourselves. Because when you're in class and you're sitting next to a student that says something so rude or so just disrespectful, you need to correct them and you need to educate them on what's right. You need to educate yourselves also so you can tell them the facts of what's going on.
If I can make a change, especially being a middle school teacher, then I'm going to be doing it. And I'm going to do what I can on my behalf to make it happen.
How many of you here today believe that all lives matter? Raise your hand. Good, because they do. And if you believe that all lives matter, there's no way that you would ever have a problem saying that Black lives matter. Because Black lives are a part of all lives.
Tell me if you've heard this one, since the death of George Floyd. This has been going on long before George Floyd, and I don't mean this with any disrespect. I wish peace to his family and his friends and his loved ones. He wasn't my hero. He wasn't my martyr. He was a victim, like hundreds and thousands of others. And frankly, somehow now, we're paying attention to it and we're framing it as if since his murder, we're going to change things. What I want to hear from my community is, oh my God, yes, this opened our eyes, but now we understand what you've been going through for a long time.
To my white community members, I'm asking you, if not begging you, to please step back. Try very hard to soften your hearts, open your minds, and listen.
If you're having some awakening and some awareness right now, understand there's so much more to learn. We only hear the Black male narrative being killed by police because that's what our lens can see. But if you really examine it further, there's a lot of Native lives lost. The disparities are even greater for Native Americans, and we don't even have a conversation about it. What does that mean for them?
I'm committed to listening. I'm committed to learning. And I'm committed to help bring about positive change in our community.
I thought it was a very necessary event. I thought it was very powerful. It was really heartening to see Cottage Grove come together as a community and start talking about the truths that I've lived my whole life. My sister, who now lives in Minneapolis, she told me when she came for a walk here, she told me, I don't want to go on a walk in Cottage Grove because she doesn't feel safe in Cottage Grove. She feels more safe on the streets of Minneapolis as a black woman, more safe driving, more safe walking than she does in this community. And that's a problem. When I leave the gym and it's raining, I worry about putting my hoodie up to this day because they don't know me. They don't know that I'm Miss Wilcox, the teacher down the road, and I'm just seen as another black person who could be a threat.
For me, frankly, to hear what's going on, even in our community, because I'm one of those people that will say, well, that can't be happening in Cottage Grove. I hear it's happening in Minneapolis, I hear it elsewhere. But when you start hearing some of our own citizens say, well, yeah, I got pulled over for no reason, or this, and this, and this, and I'm going, wait a minute, that truly is happening in our community. We got to figure out what's going on, and we need to stop that and fix it. So that was probably the biggest thing about today for me, and the stories that I was hearing is I heard story after story, and we need to fix that. That's not acceptable, and I know our public safety department won't accept that either. And so with the council's direction, that we'll work together to make systemic changes happen.
I think what's really important about this listening session is this was community driven. It's a grassroots effort. I was very honored to be invited to come here today, but I didn't come here to talk. I came here to listen. So I think that's a big part of this, that there's a lot of anger in the community. There's a lot of hurt.
We have leaders in our community that are open for change and want to allow others to spearhead the change and just listen.
Active listeners.
Would I like to see more events like this? Yes. I think that some people who aren't people of color might not feel that they're welcomed at these events, but it's because we're a community, we need to be doing this together.